Hello, everyone, and welcome to Educast, the second ever Educast episode and the 24th daily quest we've done here. I'm Solid Jake, and today we are looking at, once again, community-submitted replays. Everyone seemed to enjoy the first episode, so we will continue doing it for quite some time. Now, you might notice my facial hair has become rather glorious, all due to sort of a bet from our podcast, Town Hall Heroes. But deal with it. You must embrace the facial hair. Oh, it's so nice. Now, today we're going to look at 2 to 3 replays, and I really want to put a focus on Towers of Doom, if at all possible, because it's the newest battleground, and decision making on this battleground is a little bit tricky since it's so different for a MOBA, right? You have to decide, well, do we want to take this mercenary camp? Do we want to take this fort? Do we want to go for the objective? In a lot of variety of situations, because sometimes you can stall out going for the objective and then just destroy an enemy team's fort and then put that pressure on. And that can be done in a variety of ways. Some heroes that are good at stalling out tributes, maybe Tacit or Tyrande, can excel in those scenarios. But I'm excited to see what exactly we're seeing on the ladder right now. And these are not professional matches. These are matches submitted from you guys, the viewers. And they're not from tournaments or anything like that. They are just straight up either Hero League or Quick Match. The first one we're going to look at was submitted to me from Gronmin, and he says he's got about a 3350 MMR on NA, and of course this is on Towers of Doom. Now, he linked me the draft. It opens up with Zagara, very good at poking, and then the blue team goes for Jaina Tyrande, followed by Zeratul Muradin, Raynor Diablo, Uther Kel'Thas, Sonya. Let's actually just load up the replay and take a look at that. Interesting. It gave me the message, you're loading a replay from a different patch, because they did just hotfix the game or put a tiny patch in. So this is now my first time ever loading a previous patch replay. But in terms of balance, nothing has changed. This is the current patch that you guys are playing on, other than the fact that we can now do the whole recruit a friend shenanigans within the client. Now, tragedy has struck. So I actually go out of my way to not watch these replays just because I like to be completely surprised by the results of what ends up happening. And as you can see, the UI is really not all that happy because for some reason, my ops client has changed. So just a bit of a fix here. For some reason, it reset it down to ops client number 16. I have to quit the replay, which will probably log me out of BattleNet and force me to re-log. Just a bit of a delay. Towers of Doom as a whole, though, is so different, and there's all these discussions going around as to whether or not it should even be included in tournaments right away because of how unique it is. And obviously, I think it's a good thing. In the end, Towers of Doom is shifting things up, shaking it up with Heroes of the Storm. The fact that it has multiple maps really makes it stand out as a MOBA within the genre, in my opinion. Heroes like Cho'Gall Abathur also do the same kind of deal, but I'm still rather intrigued to see all the different styles and ways that people approach the game just in general, and we're going to critique all of that in this replay. Okay, the client's booting back up. We can now relaunch the replay, load on a different patch, and hopefully this time it knows the correct observer UI to watch. While it's loading up, just a shout out to Ollie. He does create the community observer UI that we use. Blizzard has their own official one, but it's not available to the public. Maybe someday it will be. We can hope for that. But Ollie does amazing work. Without him, tournament casting would be just about impossible, to be honest, because the information is absolutely crucial. Yes, success. We have succeeded. And we do have our replay loading in. So, okay, let's take a look at these compositions. Towers of Doom. We talked about the fact that denying objectives is something that you can do with certain strategies, and both teams have heroes that excel in that. We see Zagara can just drop roach pods on your opponents, and they are quite obnoxious. She also provides a lot of vision, as this map does have a fair amount of rotating. And Tyrande, if you go a Pierce build with Tyrande, you don't even necessarily need to do that, but if you do, she's arguably the best hero in the game at stalling out those objective caps. Obviously, you can think of other heroes like Asmoden with the Globe of Annihilation being strong in that sense, and of that kind of sort. Looking at the early game talents, Sonya's going for Shot of Fury, just really wants to be in the face, not worried about sustain. With Lone Tyrande, that might be a little risky. We see Diablo going for Soul Feast, so he wants an additional health regen, and right off the bat, we have a bit of a brawl in the middle. Looks like Maximo's going to fall there and kill Thos, but the trade happens as Diablo falls as well. 1-for-1 even trades, and Red gets hit by the Lunar Flare, the double value forced to blink away. Beautifully done by Grandman and Venom right now. But they're not going to be able to pick up another kill quite yet, just because Blink was off cooldown. Teams are both soaking appropriately, but this is going to be a very hard lane for our Rainer planer. We see Mad Dr. Frog on Zagara. Zagara arguably the best laner in the game, especially in the early game. The battle continuing in the mid, Ret barely getting out of the way of that Cone of Cold, and the Dwarf toss in, but the immediate reaction from Venom with that Lunar Flare, but it's not going to be enough as Zeratul comes from the back. The Void Slash gets a kill. Now Grandman in a bad spot. Singularity Spike enough to slow him down, and a double kill picked up here by a beautiful rotation from Red on Zeratul. In the top, we see Daribo has been pushing this out relatively well versus Kael'thas, but he needs to be wary of these potential rotations, especially since Zeratul has already proven he is quite good when he does rotate. Game progressing through. Zagara's got her creep here in the bottom lane. Just got this nice spread to give vision. Now, when you're playing Zagara, you always want to make sure to do this. Being very proactive about your creep spread is absolutely crucial. And not only does it give you vision, you get the movement speed, you get the health regen, but it's so hard to catch a Zagara off guard. You can see the shimmer of Zeratul if she's paying attention. Now, Dr. Frog might have even noticed Zeratul rotating down, even though that's his ally. Whoops. Anyways, top lane. Sonya was blown up here, but Maximo will be traded out. Hunter's Mark used at the last moment to make sure the auto attack was enough. And now we have Chilemi on Muradin just having to back away, but the mid lane was abandoned, and this is always something you have to be very conscious of. If you're spending 2 members to rotate an attempt for a kill, and you pick up that kill, you have to weigh the risk and reward. Is it worth missing a wave of minions, or is it staggered enough to the point where we won't miss minions? I don't think they lost a lot there, so in the end, they probably made the right call since they had probably just cleaned up the wave. But it's still something you really have to think about. Nice juke there by Mad Dr. Frog, rotating down, dodging the Lunar Flare. Sonya with the Ancient Spear, not enough damage available. Bit of a split focus. Half the team went for Zeratul, half the team went for Zagara. As a result, not really a lot was done. We did see that first channel go down in the bottom lane. 4 damage was done to the blue side, so red team is ahead in terms of objective. But, you know, that's something that I should really harp on with Towers of Doom. The early game objectives don't really mean that much. And this is kind of like one of the maybe potential flaws with the design of this style of map. Now, yes, that's permanent damage done to their core, and you can't deny that fact. But if there's ever a map where you think that you want to draft for the late game, really draft to have this amazing late game composition, this is probably the map to do that on. Just because, in theory, you could be down to 4 health. But if you are just constantly demolishing your opponents and you maintain a 3-level lead, there's pretty much no chance that they're going to catch you off guard and get the kill on you. Because you can, as long as you keep vision on and keep eyes on them and just be very proactive about the locations of your opponents, it's going to work out well. So oftentimes in competitive, we'll see teams opt to make sure they maximize experience in the early game more so than maximize the objective, which is quite different from the other battlegrounds. And it's a cool, different style and strategy that we have here in Heroes. Nice flip there, but Diablo's a little bit too aggressive, and we have to be a little critical of this. Shadow charging Ret into Grandman. Oh, almost got him with the Blizzard. if you're Diablo and you want to get that aggressive, at least make sure you have your Tyrande nearby. If Tyrande was there, not only would she have the heals, but she could have thrown the Lunar Flare Hunter's Mark down the moment Diablo flipped the target, and maybe then they would have gotten a kill, and the risk might have seemed worth it, but that just looked like a bull charging into a pack of explosives, and it didn't really look all that good. I've never seen a pack of explosives way too deep, man. Even Gronmin knows. He's giving him that heads up, dude. You need to put the ham down. Like, just pick up a bag of turkey and call it a day, because turkey is what it means to back up. That is our new definition. All right, this time Sonya going into the Ancient Spear does connect and does get the kill, but now Sonya's pretty far forward. Gravity Lab's connecting, a lot of damage being done, but Diablo there with the peels. If he gets flip on, oh, Kael'thas just a inch away from being able to grab him. That would have been Kael'thas dead for sure, but Kael'thas gets over that wall, and Diablo smartly backs up. We have two more of our altars spawning mid and bottom lane. This time Zagara does have the creep here, so that is a nice advantage of Zagara already being shown in this game. Tyrande looking in the backside, tapping the wall, just wants to have full mana, and Zeratul in a phenomenal spot, waiting for the rotation with Murden at hand. Double stun from Lunar Flare, though. The peel from Blizzard, somehow they survive and they pick off Zagara and Zeratul. The flip onto Gimli, Gromly, Chimley, whatever his name is, and oh, the Ancient Spear doesn't quite connect. Let's watch that all again. That was actually just phenomenal on multiple fronts. Okay. They know that there's a potential rotation from the teams. Both of the altars are here, and I'm actually just a moment too late with my pause, but that's okay. So here is the current setup of all the things. Creep spread down here, no one even contesting the bottom altar, a lot of presence in the mid lane, and the expected rotation of somebody from this part of the map. They had an idea of Tyrande or someone coming down here. So our Gimli, our Muradin, is just kind of hiding out of the vision of this path, and Zeratul is sitting immediately there. So the moment there's a target, he's going to go in, and he's going to follow up with the Stormbolt. But on the other side of the map, they're spending two people waiting, and their Zagara is just getting collapsed on. This is when Muradin needs to be peeling. So this is a risk. Everything they're doing is an inherent risk of this situation. Zagara being attacked by Diablo, Sonya. Guess what? Zagara cannot get away from that. She does not have enough mobility or escape to get away from two really heavy-hitting bruisers. Uther is way back in base, so they shouldn't even be out like this in general, and Kael'thas is in a safe spot. So Kael'thas positioned well. This, an inherent risk. Zagara, what are you doing? Uther, well, your team needs you. Obviously, he went back to base to refill up or respawn. I don't have perfect memory of that instance, but red team just needs to play safe. They need to simply group up, wait for Uther, and poke. Remember, we talked about poke being a big part of this map. They've got Kael'thas and Zagara. That's plenty of poke. Even Zeratul can throw out a singularity spike and blink away. But in turn, this was an amazing rotation. The fact that Jaina instantly saw that Venom was under pressure here. He rotated up. He switched his path. He was on his way over here. He switched his path up. We see Raynor is making his way up. He gets the perfect Lunar Flare to save himself, and Blizzard is just so much damage, and they just shred through those targets. We saw the Zeratul fall behind. Now they rotate up. I mean, everything about that fight was done flawlessly by our blue team, and the red team, they did have a lot of weak links. They just were a little bit too aggressive without their healer. Their ambush was well placed. It was well thought out, but it was just a little bit too risky, and the blue team reacted perfectly. All right, continuing on, we see that this time the altars did end up going 1-1. So it is going to be 32-36 here in favor of the red team still, but the experience in favor of our blue team. I have this horseman now spawning here in the top part of the map. Zero's going up for the soak, and just take a look at the lanes right now. He is uncontested up here, soaking the lane by himself. Bottom lane being pushed out heavily. This is risky, and Daribo is going to get super low, probably going to fall. Ooh, we almost saw a beautiful penetrating round there, but in turn, the whole team gets blown up. Now, blue team has now made a grave mistake. They pushed with 4 while they had Diablo up here, and they didn't necessarily have eyes on the enemy team. Diablo's well aware that he's all alone up there. They don't have an Abathur or anything. They don't have a body that's missing. Well, where could they be? you're pushed all the way forward. If you don't have eyes on the enemy team, you really shouldn't be pushing their wall like this. It's just way too risky. You can poke lightly if you're feeling confident in that, but you need the only instances in which you can really effectively poke in like that is with your Sentinel. So let's actually look at Venom's Sentinel usage in this little situation. Here they are at the wall. Current cooldown of Sentinel, off cooldown. Let's take a look. So, we see the pings happening. Oh, well, we don't know where the enemy team is. Gravity Lapse on 3 targets. They know they have to leave. Shoot Sentinel that way. And it wasn't used to really reveal whether or not they were safe to be doing what they were doing. And they just kind of noticed a little bit too late. You have that ability that can grant you vision. You should take use of it as often as possible. We haven't really talked about the talents too much in this game. Tyrande is going a full heal style, and this is perfectly fine considering you're playing Tyrande, but honestly, this isn't an optimal healing build, which you might seem odd. You're like, well, Jake, there's Healing Ward and Battle Momentum and then Celestial Attunement, so you can spam Light of Balloon a lot with Healing Ward. But honestly, we did a daily quest on Tyrande last week, and we talked about the optimal healing build, and you actually go for Empower at level 1 with Pierce at level 4, because the amount of cooldown reduction you get from the Owl will outweigh the reduced mana cost. Like, she doesn't really have mana problems. You don't really need this talent. And then Battle Momentum is a fine talent pickup at that point, too. Then you go Shadowstalk, and then you go Elune's Grace. But... or Overflowing Light, excuse me. Elune's Grace is the basic name for the talent. So it's a bit of a weird build for Tyrande, and ultimately it's not a very good late game build. Since this is very much a late game map, that could hurt them in the long run. Zero taking a fair bit of damage, will end up falling for his solo push here in the top lane as he gets rotated on. Daribo rotating at the last moment, will find Red. One more hit is needed, but Stormbolt with the peel at the last moment, and clean with a penetrating round, clean through Muradin, shredding through that Zeratul, and the double kill is picked up. That was some clean play there by our Raynor player. All right, bottom lane, we see the mercenary camps are starting to be worked on here, but this is now risky. They just lost 2 members. Eyes aren't on. They get it in time, but they might be collapsed upon. No, the rotations are not going to be there within this time frame. Shadowstalk used. Cloaked is the entire blue team. Daribo finds Kael'thas, saves the Singularity Spec, but the Lunar Flare is whiffed. Divine Shield used early, so heroic for nothing spent. And now we have Tiz walking away from a Diablo that lightning breath in the long direction. Esports. Good job. Good job. Well, the lightning breath was used for zoning, as they did in fact pick up the altar. So a nice move there. Oh my goodness, I thought the Shadow Charge was going to be enough to keep Gimli the dwarf away from hopping over his wall. Dwarf Toss was successful though, and Gronman getting approached upon by Rhett the Zeratul. Rhett picks up the kill, but now Maniximo has been Shadow Charged into the wall, but the heals from Uther are just too much. Now Gimli is blocking our sweet little Sonya, who is now going to fall in a sweet darkness despair of death. Yeah, they just got bodied. Red team bringing the pain, but things have been even in terms of objective score. Experience quite even overall, and we see Raynor trying to keep this Zagara at bay. Spin, Mura, oh. I cannot explain that to you. I don't know what it means. I can't decipher it. All right, Headless Horseman being worked on here in the top part of the map. Gimli in the front, taking the brunt of the damage. Headless Horseman hits pretty hard. Oh, Jaina going to the Ring of Frost, connects there on the Uther. Divine Shield ready in 5 seconds, so he doesn't have that available, but they do manage to slip away. Stormbolts have been on point, as well as Gravity Lapse. That is why those 2 heroes are so highly contested and competitive heroes right now. Gravity Lapse and Stormbolt, 2 great forms of crowd control in this game, basic abilities to boot, and you really can't ask for anything better. But you... Oh! Wow, that was pretty good too. They have let's bleep this out with my mouse. Let's keep this nice and friendly, ladies and gentlemen. Nice. Anyways, Jaina picks up some Pumpkin Bros here on the top with Tyrande. Zagara slips away, but had to spend Maw. So Maw, a rather long cooldown, will be not available. Lit cap left side. I will cap left side. I don't know why I read lit cap left side. Right side, just about to spawn here. Both of them in 2 seconds from right now. Gravity Lapse was whiffed entirely. Zeratul blinking in onto Gronman, and he's pinging for help, penetrating around, thrown out, misses the force on the Void Prison, but now Sonya is way too deep. VP caught half the team, and Daribo is just way too overextended. Gravity Lapse saving Rhett in this situation, so Zeratul lives on, and the Raiders have been summoned. The heals from Tyrande haven't been all that huge at this point. They need those level 13 talents, and now they lose another hero. Jaina has gone down, but they do try to Uther in the backside with the Raiders. Oh, beautiful Lunar Flare going off, connecting onto Rhett. Chimley in the top, flanking from behind. Stormbolt will connect. Gravity Lapse not even needed. It's just going to be a living bomb, and that is a decisive fight by the red team. They've lost 1, 2 for 1, might have even been 3. Yeah, 3 for 1 because Sonya died so early in the battle, and they're starting to climb ahead in terms of experience. Rhett being the best scouting drone in the world, taking a peek into this Merc camp, but the lone Mutalisk does reveal their position. Daribo trying to escape Singularity Spike will slow him down, but Rhett realizes it's a bit too risky to go in there, as they're taking a lot of damage from these Pumpkin Bros. Phoenix thrown into the mix, Jaina in the backside in a whiffed Maw. Gravity Lapse onto Raynor, gets blown up, tried to flank from the side, but he found the entire rest of the team, and our blue team has just given up a Merc camp. Ring of Frost connecting on no one. Blizzard doing a fair amount of damage, but they're forced to use Shadowstalk to try to survive, and we do not see Jaina getting out of that with the Stormbolt, and then the blink in and the Void Slash of Zeratul, just way too much damage. Now it's down to just Diablo and Tyrande on the map. They're a full level behind, and we see the red team starting to get aggressive. In terms of decision making, this is perfect. Red team just want a Merc camp. They know to push down that bottom lane. Now, in the event you can destroy this fort before the Pumpkin Bros do kamikaze onto it, well, actually, I don't think that's politically correct. We'll just say before they dive onto it. You know, it's going to do damage to the core, but it's not going to be very likely here as they all charge on in. Ooh, they actually managed to keep one of them up. The other two had enough damage to take out this bottom fort, and the last one, if he makes it to the finish line, will do 1 damage to the enemy team's core. But Diablo, Tyrande, they even threw Hunter's Mark, Lunar Flare down onto that Pumpkin Bro, realizing that is permanent damage to the core they do not want to take, and they take it out. Now they're in a bit of a tough spot. Do they defend this fort, or do they go for the shrines? Well, they have 30 seconds, not really that tough of a spot after all, and they are going to take this out with ample time left over. Enemy team knows at 12 minutes this spawns. I don't actually know why they're sitting here. Tunnel exit. It has a name and a health bar. How much health does it have? Infinite. 12 minutes is when this guy becomes available. Looks like they're just kind of hanging out in that area to see if somebody was going to rotate by. But realizing their opponents did, in fact, take out that bottom fort, or return that bottom fort, they kind of realize they're going to have that presence here down in the bottom lane. But there is a level 16 advantage. They just reached it. Benediction picked up Stone Form. We see Stone Skin. We even see Arcane Barrier. So sustain galore for the red team. Lightning Breath doing a fair amount of damage. Good zoning and a nice Ring of Frost, but they're too far into the backside. Sonya trying to dive in. She's spinning immediately, but the Void Prison locking them in place in the backside. The double melee going deep onto Jaina. A nice Lunar Flare going out, stalling, buying time, and Gimli dives across, but it's not enough. The peel from Diablo flipping Uther back on in. Sonya has gone deep and shredded the entire team. What the heck? How did they take that fight? They have taken no damage, it looks like. We need to rewind all the way and zoom this baby out to take a look at it. All right, so this is the nice setup. We see the Ring of Frost connecting on 2 targets on the far side, and I have broken my mouse again. I hate you, Replay Client. Why do you do this every week? I don't even know what button I pressed that did this. Anyways, we see Diablo had just Lightning Breath. There's a Phoenix sitting in a nice position zoning them out, but Gronman, Daribo on the right side. It's really about Daribo going deep and then the 2 melees diving in versus the 3 range of our blue team. So as we see, he gets caught in the Void Prison, and this is when Gimli and Rhett try to go in onto Gronman. Tyrande with those fat heals now that she has level 13. And the Lunar Flare connecting, buying the time they need to seclude Gimli. Zero realizes what is going on and rotates back, saves that flip for Uther, picking that off. And Sonya in the back line was able to just shred through those 2 members, Kael'thas and an already very weak Zagara. Nicely done. Just everything about that was great. Challenge mode enabled for my observing skills, as I can't do it as I normally do. Just have to roll my mouse around, but we'll make it happen. Double channel of altars, bringing the red team down to 20 hit points on their core. So now, for the first time in quite a while, we see the blue team, actually for the entire game, I think, we see the blue team take a bit of a lead. Take a bottom fort out, but this is one of those situations where you can get critical. Look, the entire red team is still down. Now, what were they down here fighting over? They were fighting over altars. We're going to rewind just a little bit more. And, oh gosh, even more. They were here fighting in the bottom of the map over this altar, and they were fighting over this altar. They're very close together. What else is near them? A fort. Well, is the enemy team alive? No, they're all dead for 40 seconds. This is a situation where you should take your entire team, dive on this fort, kill it quickly, ignore the well, ignore the tower, the wall's already down, kill the fort. Then grab these two altars. Too often do I see teams neglecting these kind of situations where that's an additional 2 damage. And it might not seem like a lot, but that could be the difference between winning and losing the game. So you always want to be mindful of those kind of scenarios where you could be doing this. All right, well, the bottom altar will be channeled. We can fast forward just a wee bit as we see this all happening. And bam, bam, bam. Now that they grab both altars, they decide to kill the fort. And 2 damage go the wayside. They could easily grab this pumpkin camp as the enemy team just did spawn. It's good that they grabbed this one. But honestly, just another bit of criticism. If they had done it in the proper situation, it would have been grab this, grab this, grab this, and then grab this one, and then this one. And then as they're grabbing this one, the enemy team is respawning, and then they're still safe to go clean this up because the enemy team has to worry about these pumpkin guys. So there's a lot more of optimizing that could have been done with decision-making for the blue team, but they won the team fight, so I guess no harm, no foul. We do see the Headless Horseman has just respawned. They were all standing on creep, so the red team is well aware of their position. Beautiful Sentinel goes out to find Ret. We see the Ancient Spear used just to kind of force him to blink away, actually going back in with the wormhole and throwing at a Singularity Spike. But the rest of the team is currently working on this. Now, Zagara just recaptured the bottom fort. Blue team is well aware that is the case, so they go for the Headless Horseman. When you can see the enemy team is trying to reclaim their fortifications, you can abuse that fact by going for merc camps like the boss, which is 4 more damage onto their core. Just excellent decision-making by the blue team in this instance. Divine Shield forced out very early. Zeratul does have Void Prison if they find themselves in a really bad spot, but they need Zagara, who is almost here. Team finally about to be at 5. Again, they have a heroic down, and we see the Rainer's Raiders being thrown out. We do see our Rainer getting quite low. Blizzard raining down, and Ring of Frost does connect, but they do trade out Rainer. First, Zeratul had to throw down VP during his escape, and when he sees the Phoenix go down, the AoE of Kilthos is disgusting. They're looking to make something happen. Venom throws that. Oh, the Ice Block was there. Lunar Flare connecting on nothing. Ret needs those heals, but he doesn't have Uther there. Uther just gets in sight, and they manage to get the heal across. An excellent fight, and a lot of that came down to Zeratul with Void Prison. And we can really just appreciate how powerful this ability is and how powerful Zeratul is as a hero in this moment. So when you see the Rainer's Raiders being used, you know a fight is underway. And even though you don't have Divine Shield, well, we also know that Rainer's Raiders have been spent. Wrath of the Berserker is up on Sonya. I mean, it's active. Shadowstalk was used just a moment ago. So Muradin just says, you know what, we're going in. He sees these 2 assassins stacked on top of each other, and that's kind of where the blue team went wrong. Clean and Gronmin were on top of each other, and Daribo is in retreat path right now, and guess what happens? They all clump up for a moment, and the Ring of Frost is thrown down. Ooh, that is pretty. Ret blinks right into the middle. That's our Zeratul. Ring of Frost connects on several targets, and Uther, he needs to get those fat heals across, but he's way over here, like way too far away. Uther needs to be, I don't know what he's doing. He needs to get in there. But this is a situation where they are going to die. The Ring of Frost is too good. The health pools and everyone except for Clean are really good on the blue side, but the VP changes the entire fight, like the entire chemistry of this. Boom, there it is. Keeps them safe, buys them time. Uther is able to step in. We see the Mutas hovering above, and here comes the Phoenix which slides across the ground, apparently, onto their opponents. Immediately throw down the Flame Strike, and just boatloads of damage being used. Now they're just scrambling, trying to get away. Gravity Lapse down here. That's dead Sonya. We see Murden up at the top, rotating it around. 2, 3, 4. Only Diablo, who used his souls to get back up, is alive in this moment. And Void Prison is the only reason that worked out so well. Can we not dive a fort, please? Ray could have lived, but he sat still. It was really just Void Prison that ruined them. All right, Pumpkin Bros being picked up here in the top. They're going to march down to this top lane, but since it has so much health left, they will end up diving upon it and blowing up, doing a fair bit of damage. Altar picked up here. Red team makes the right call. They go for the offensive side altar first. This is the harder one to take. They know the enemy team is down. They grab it. 4 damage done. This one could be taken here. But you could also be a little bit critical. They had the pumpkins. They didn't necessarily need to grab this altar. This is just like the blue team. It's deja vu. We saw this happen. They had pumpkins diving down this top lane. This fort is going to die very quickly. It's just Uther Kael'thas working on it. Imagine if the whole team went up here, blew it up quickly, walked down to that altar, grabbed it, and then went back to the altar. 2 additional damage for them. I guess they're just keeping it even because the enemy team made the same mistake a little bit earlier. Okay, well, now that it's... Oh, they're actually going to get the benefit of this one. They waited long enough for the second one, so they will get the 5 damage from the second channel, and that is going to put them ahead by 1 point. Oh, look at that. Suddenly, they have a lead. A equal situation where they took advantage of it slightly better, and in turn, they are 1 point ahead in terms of their core health. Care, they're going to be 20. Good call there. It's very good to communicate those kind of things. People, sometimes your teammates don't realize that. Calling level 10, calling level 16, every talent tier advantage. It's always worth calling out to your allies just to make sure you guys are on the same page. Someone might think, well, we should fight. We should fight right now. But you might say, well, actually, no, we probably shouldn't fight because they have a talent tier advantage on us. Pumpkin Bros dove in. Ring of Frost was wasted. We see the Phoenix being used, and now Divine Shield has to be used to get Kael'thas out. A lot of damage going to go off from those chain bombs, but not enough for critical. Just a little bit of poke from both teams, and a lot of cooldowns being spent. 80 seconds on Divine Shield, 60 seconds on Ring of Frost. Those are the only 2 really substantial heroics that are going to be gone for a while, but they need to be considered. Ring of Frost has made some big plays this game, but so has Divine Shield, and we'll see how it ends up panning out in the next team fight. So currently, it is 25 to 15 in terms of kills. So when it comes to the battles, it has really been in favor of the red team. Another thing I really want to compliment is just the Zagara's persistence with keeping a creep tumor by this tunnel all game long. Like, we have just seen continuous vision. And they're just waiting in the off chance that the enemy team might walk through this way or might use that tunnel to blow them up. Party bushing is what we like to call it. And you know, after they wait a little while, they realize their bottom fort is being pressured. They decide they want to defend it. So they are making their approach down this bottom lane. Lunar Flare with Shadow Charge. I haven't seen that order in some time. Doing a lot of damage, but the turnaround from the red team is sufficient. They've got the damage. Red will end up falling 2 for 1 in favor of the red team right now, but blue team is kind of regaining their composure. They still have Sonya, a big frontliner. They have a support, and Raynor is a big damage dealer. In terms of heroics, they don't have anything available, just Diablo with Lightning Breath, who is currently dead, but Void Prison and Maw, 2 massive control abilities ready for the red team, so the blue team does have to back away. 2 altars spawning this time, left and right, the same. Oh, 3 altars. I didn't realize this bottom one was here. So they managed to pick that one up. 4 damage will go over. So now it's down to 11 health. So, ooh, Kael'thas has to use Bolt of the Storm. Phoenix thrown out to zone, and Daribo realizes it's unwise to keep chasing because he doesn't have eyes on the enemy team. But with Shadowstalk being cast, he can run through the Phoenix without getting dismounted, and he sees Kael'thas, who already used Bolt. Beautiful Ancient Spirit, but Divine Shield used this time around to keep him up. Just came off cooldown a bit ago, and Daribo has to retreat. But good heals there from Venom, keeping him alive. They've stalled this out. Sentinel once again being used to stall out the altar. Left altar was picked up by our blue team. 11 to 12 in terms of damage, but Kael'thas, the zoning is enough, and Venom is too far forward. Ends up falling. The altar picked up here for the red team, and they are now once again solidified an even stronger lead at this point in the game, 7 to 12. Overall, I'd say that was pretty well done by the red team. They had the hero advantage going into that altar spawn. And getting all 3, unless the enemy team is completely dead, is very risky. So they just took the 2 safer altars in that situation. and they're holding that advantage. But the blue team is now in a situation where if they start to lose forts, they need to be very wary of the potential of mercenary camps doing critical damage to them. This blue mercenary camp pickup is actually quite good. It's going to deny some of those options that exist for the red team as we go into the next phase. Level 20 around the corner, which is going to even things out a lot for the blue team. They can definitely turn this around, and the bosses now just respawn. So this can be a throw pit in a lot of ways. If you're not careful, the boss might look very enticing. It's like, oh, that evens the game just about. It'll put, you know, their core at just about the same health as us. Maybe we should go for it. This is scary. We see Raynor is all by himself and a fight's breaking out before he's in the battle. He's making his way there quickly, taking the safe path, which is the right thing to do. Diablo taking a lot of damage, backing up. Does he have the well available? No, it doesn't look like he can tap it. And they need those heals. He does a nice safe location with that lightning breath, cancels it as Zeratul goes in. Zeratul blunders, doesn't actually get the kill. Daribo too far forward, but they pick up one kill. Lunar Flare connecting a Murden, but not before Stormbolt is cast, and the Maul will just pick up Raynor. Now Diablo doesn't want to go in like this. He's way too low, just needs to wait. Oh, but he uses his level 20 talent to suck in all their souls and get that health steal. It's blood for blood on the entire team around him. Redemption is available for Uther. He'll be back in the fray in just a moment. Mutalisk being summoned here to chase our Raynor. He's going to need a penetrating round them away. And we do see the altars. This time 3 are spawning. 2 will end the game in favor of the red team. Blue team needs to find a way to make something happen, but losing 0 here is not the thing you need to have happen. Shadow charge forward. 0 is somehow still alive, and we see Raynor did end up falling. 0 mounting up, running, going, dodging the flame strike. Gravity Lapse goes out as well, and they're just in a full-on chase. Mad Frog Doctor face Gronman battling it out up here. One more Frostbolt will seal the deal. That is a kill, but now Kael'thas is mounting and chasing with Mutalisk. Dismounting for some reason goes for the Phoenix, but it's enough for the kill, and now the altar is being channeled, bottom altar being channeled, and top altar being channeled. They're dancing and wiggling, and the red team gets the... What a crazy last fight. I mean, Diablo just kept living in situations where he shouldn't have, and the blue team was just a little scrambled. Wow. Well, I it was definitely an intense game. So Gronman, thank you for submitting that. I mean, hopefully the feedback was available or helpful for a lot of you guys that are playing on Towers of Doom on ladder, because it is a very different experience when it comes to decision making. But that was a rather intense game, I have to say. I wish my replay clients would stop breaking. That would be awesome. Not being able to hover my mouse and click the mini-map makes it a lot harder to actually observe a game, but it was still pretty good overall, I think. Now, we've got another game that we're going to look at that's also on Towers of Doom, and I just need a moment to get that ready. Since that was on a different patch, I have to pretty much relaunch the client in just a moment. Just going to stroke my facial hair. We've got quite a few daily quests lined up, and thank you guys so much for submitting all of these replays. I've got a ton of them, far more than I can do in a single week, but I will continue to go through them, and even if I didn't do your episode this week, there's a good chance I will be doing it next week. Now, our next Towers of Doom game, we're going to load that bad boy up. Also on a different patch, because everything got patched like 2 days ago, so I mean, I guess that makes sense. So that's got to load up very quickly. And we can look at the loading screen here as it's booting up. So we see Butcher Sylvanas, Johanna Kael'thas, Lili versus Raynor Leoric, Falstad, Malfurion, Zagara. So it's definitely a different style. Music enabled. But in terms of poke, it's not. It's definitely like from the last game. Comparing it, our front lines are rather different. We don't have the same kind of control. Kael'thas and Butcher, definitely really good for locking down, but it's a little bit more in your face. I mean, yes, we had Sonya in the last game, and she's good for that style to some extent. But the supports are rather different here, too. We see Malfurion with Zagara, and there's a really cool synergy that exists between those two heroes alone, which is when you are playing as Malf Zagara, if you manage to get in a spot where you're really getting blown up, Kael'thas is just doing too much damage to your team. What you can do is you can simply try to maul Kael'thas in particular. If you can maul him while you pop Tranquility, you can just heal the whole team to full. Another great thing that we have here for the blue team is disengage. Mighty Gust, if Falstad goes for it. If they do see that Butcher really diving in, you can just disengage the fight. But one thing that they do kind of lack, and that's going to be tough for the blue team to overcome, is if Lily goes for cups, which she should, they don't really have stuns to deal with it. Raynor, sure, he can stun with Penetrating Round, but it's not really the most reliable thing. And Zagara can maw Lily, but that's also not really the most reliable, easiest way to disrupt the cups that may be used. Leoric doesn't actually have a true stun, so if there's ever a situation to be playing Lily against your opponents, it's when their only warrior is something like Leoric or Arthas, and they actually cannot be in your face to interrupt all the cups that Lily can cast for her heroic. Looking at some of the talents here, Victuals picked up here for Butcher. He wants to have that self-sustain. He thinks he's going to be solo laning a lot, so he wants self-sustain. It's a fine choice, and we can see the Gravity Lapse there on Leoric is going to deny him the chance to Wraith Walk to safety, and a great kill here from this 2v3 lane here out of our blue team. They're sitting just with Sylvanas and Johanna in solo lanes, and this is like the perfect way to do in early game. These two heroes are so good at solo laning. Johanna can do fairly well versus Zagara, who is our largely considered the best early game solo laner, and obviously Sylvanas can disable minions and towers and everything and do a lot of damage. But with Butcher coming up, we already saw the barrel roll out of Falstad, and that is a great kill. The rotation on point. I'm loving this Kael'thas Butcher style for rotating. In the bottom lane, Johanna sitting there just holding Zagara back. Zagara hasn't even made it past his halfway point yet, constantly walking back when those Hydralisks are cast upon her. That is the exact way to do it. Just nullify as much damage as you can. Use Iron Skin when necessary, but you want to make sure you're as conservative as possible with your mana, as Johanna does burn through her mana pretty quickly. Kael'thas just waiting for a potential flank. Now the Creep Tumor is here giving vision on this lane, so if he steps in, Zagara is going to know immediately and she's going to back away. She's creeping up everything down here, but they realize the location. Gravity Lapse thrown over the wall, not quite connecting, and once Leoric is spotted, Kael'thas backs away. Top lane has been left uncontested. Sylvanas is pushing this out by herself. Remember we said this in the first cast on Towers of Doom. You can often weigh the early game altars versus experience, and you could say, I would rather get a ton of experience. Well, if you leave Sylvanas alone, she is going to push the living crap out of you, and Cat is in a good spot, but Penetrating Round forces him away from Falstad. We see Envenom was actually picked up by Butcher, so that's going to be expired, and really what they want to aim to do right now is stall these altars as long as they can, because the longer they stall, the more time Sylvanas has the push. Falstad realizes this push is happening, and he wants to use his flight to get up there to try to force this Zagara or this Sylvanas away, but the damage has already been dealt. Ammunition has been expired, and Slippery X is going to have to Haunting Wave back to safety, but the barrel roll actually get the kill here. One more hit. Oh no. Okay, there it is. All right, nice Hammerang going out, and they actually lost Johanna down here in the bottom in this 4v4. An unfavorable situation for sure. They went for this split push style, and it's not really working out. They're going to end up losing both altars. The damage wasn't critical by any means, not even getting a single tower, so they don't have the experience advantage they want. Yes, these structures are weak, but if you don't actually kill the towers, you don't actually get the 400 experience per tower. Now they need to try to find more of those kills. Butcher, Kael'thas have been doing a good job. The locations for this flank are good, but Raynor actually spots the potential flank that they're looking to set up. Gravity Lapse thrown out, but now we see that Kael'thas is very low, and Zagara gets that final shot out. And yeah, these like little cheeky plays they started at the top of the game, we see the red team is learning and adapting to their strategies, and they're really foiling it nicely. They're looking at about half a level lead at this point in time, and they are sitting 8 damage up in terms of core health. Bottom lane, Zagara does have that same kind of push potential with the Lily behind. They can be afforded to go in like this, but they opt to back away. Now, with the creep spread, yeah, sure, Zagara is going to run a little bit faster, but I still think you can be a little bit more aggressive in that instance. Lily can, in fact, blind both Raynor and Zagara at the same time, even. And that's a situation where you could really look to press the issue and at least force Zagara into a slightly worse spot. But in turn, she's just going to back away, tap the well, put more creep down, and just start summoning more Zerg creepy crawlers. Mid lane, though, looks like, 2v1 for our Johanna player. She's doing A-okay, as she's really probably the hardest hero in the game to kill. And top lane is Kael'thas Sylvanas. But all things considered, it's a 2v1 and they still haven't taken out these towers. So they're putting a lot of resources in this top lane. And for what? I mean, they really haven't taken that advantage that they want. Bottom lane, we do see the 2v2 continuing, but Zagara, being that amazingly that she is, has ridiculous control on everything. But there should be more creep tumors in these kind of locations. We've seen Kael'thas trying to sit in that bush multiple times throughout this game, and there really hasn't been creep tumors put there. I don't think they've tried once to put a creep tumor there. A nice Butcher going in with the Relentless Onslaught, and then the Gravity Lapse, but not quite enough for the lockdown, considering Malfurion is there for the heals. They switch their focus to that Zagara, but now Johanna's all in by herself. Falstad flies down into the battle, and Sylvanas once again is staying in that top lane all alone. As a result, we see Kael'thas getting collapsed upon. Gravity Lapse is enough for him to get away, but now Butcher is overextended, as this is a 4v5 fight. Falstad having that global mobility is something you have to think about. And they've been trying to do the split push style, but now they're giving up another altar. Now, it's still not like lights out. It's not like you're fighting over a curse and your enemy team's going to get a curse. This is permanent damage, but you're not going to have catapults against you. So they're not really getting this permanent gain. Our Sylvanas, though, is playing a bit interesting, one way to put it. Not only is she just split pushing, but this build is unorthodox in every way. Corruption, a very uncommon talent. Paralysis, a very uncommon talent. They're just really not optimal. Generally, you want to have better teamfight capabilities, so you would go for Envenom. And Envenom doesn't stack, so Butcher got Envenom, which is also, it's not bad, because he does want to dive in and blow you up. But if Sylvanas had Envenom, you could throw that down on 2 targets, and Malfurion doesn't have the best AoE healing until level 10, so for early game kills, if that's what you want to do, is try to get your team an experience advantage through kills, you would go for that. Picking up Corruption and then Life Drain, it's like, if you're going to go Life Drain, you should get the reduced cooldown on your W at level 1, like if that's what you're really worried about. So really just kind of odd stuff here out of the Sylvanas player, but everything else is pretty normal. I mean, this is definitely a cheeky, I just want to sustain as long as possible Leoric, like full-on sustain style in like a unique way, where you can just get out of a lot of bad spots. Raynor is going auto-attack style, but without focused attacks at level 4. He's going for seasoned marksman, but then no focused attacks. So just, again, he's worried about sustain. Everybody seems to want heals. We see rapid incubation, a full Q build here out of Malfurion. He just wants his regrowth to be as OP as possible. Harmony, like, just get Moonburn, bro. Like, Harmony's not really that good of a talent. Yeah, definitely some interesting picks here we're seeing in this game. Level 9 to just about level 9 for our blue team. And they're just kind of trying to get a grasp on things again. They've really been getting bullied away from the altars. They haven't taken a single altar yet. And they're starting to look at the merc camps as maybe their salvation. So they're throwing the entire team at a mercenary camp. This is overkill. We see Zagara's here. We see Leoric's here. Keep someone in the mid lane, at least, to soak. You don't need Sylvanas split pushing like you had before. That hasn't been working out for the team. But at least make sure you maximize the experience of 2 lanes. So hopefully we see someone return before they actually miss any XP, because the minions are now clashing in the center, and Johanna hopefully will go back. Oh, she had my hopes up so high. All right, well, experience will be lost. They do manage to pick off Zagara, so that is they do finally get a kill, and maybe this is their cue to say, okay, we need to make sure we're soaking. All right. Not the worst. They didn't really lose too much XP, but Leoric is in the top lane. Sylvanas just walks right by Malfurion, not even interested in battling, just wants to take down some towers in the mid lane, and these Pumpkin Bros are going to opt, in the end, do just about 0 damage. Mid lane, Sylvanas back on that push grind. Heroics finally being picked up. But we apparently missed a Hinterland's Blast at some point. So Falstad went for Hinterland's Blast instead of Mighty Gust, did cast it in that bottom lane. Obviously did not get a kill with it. Uncle Hobo, very sad with himself. Tranquility, Maw, March of the Black King, Hyperion. And then we have Lamp to the Slaughter with Wailing Arrow, Blessed Shield, Phoenix, and Jug of 1,000 Cups. I'm a little surprised we didn't see Possession. I was expecting Possession at this point, and I'm disappointed. I was so hopeful. When you see a build like this, you're like, oh, they must be going Possession. It's the full push style. It's the dream, right? Not today, apparently. Well, we see the dagger going out, burning through these minions. Our Butcher Sylvanas' best friend. And we have 2 altars spawning, both in the top portion of the map, left side and right side. Generally speaking, you want to try to zone for 1 member to grab an altar. So you throw 1 member in the back, and you just try to zone. Now, they forced Falstad away. It's a nice win. Bottom lane, we see that Ranger's way down here, and the altar's spawning in 10 seconds. So they have a decent idea of where the enemy team is positioned, so maybe they can find someone out of position. Slippery X, too far forward, out of position himself, has to back away. March of the Black King, pretty much wasted in that situation, bonded to do a fair amount of damage. Lamb to the slaughter, doing nothing, but these cups in the backside are getting insane value. Wailing thrown out, just defensively trying to buy time for the team, and now Johanna in the backside is doing a lot of damage, but they've already spent so much. Kael'thas doesn't really have that crazy AoE damage. The Maw will actually end up killing Kael'thas. There he does, dying within the Maw. Johanna's stuck in this bottom right. Butcher decides to charge in. Hinterland Blast doesn't hit anything, but they still got a 3 for nothing. Disorganized chaos. A lot of like just bad positioning. Sylvanas running up here blindly by herself. 2 members stuck up here while they're getting hit by the March, and then the rest of the team scattered throughout. Johanna, let's actually kind of find out exactly what Johanna was doing in that instance, because it didn't look like they were getting a ton of peel from Johanna in the first part of that fight. And one more rewind, and we should be good. So, okay, apparently rewinding multiple times is always going to break my observing abilities. Yay, replay client. Boom. Yeah, so Johanna was right here, so she was in position. So let's actually watch this one more time. Johanna decides to go down. Butcher, she should be trying to peel for Butcher a little bit better. Okay, she is peeling well right now. Very good. She did keep these 2 in the backside. All right, I take it back. I just didn't realize she was so deep. With her this deep, they could have been a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if Butcher has used Butcher's brand at all to stay alive in these fights. Obviously, I cannot click on him as the replay client bugged out once more. But Kael'thas does go down, and yet we saw all this happen. The chaos that happened within, if that Hinterland's Blast had hit, that would have been another kill probably. But ultimately, they're going to get 2 altars, looking at 20 core health advantage right now in this game. Oh! They did it! They traded! Nice! Well, Butcher dives in, doesn't quite get the altar, but he trades out with Falstad. I was just kind of dumbfounded that he was actually bold enough to go in for that. But you know what? He traded effectively, at least. All right, Flame Strike going out. The Condemned trying to pull them in. Leoric with Wraithwalk. Living Bomb not quite enough for the kill. Leoric able to back away from this. Zagara has been pushing like a beast down in the bottom lane, trying to chip away at this bottom fort with all the minions, but once again regaining creep spread, which is great. Always want to try to do this. Without Unstable Poison, though, Sylvanas doesn't really have that impeccable lane clear that you would expect her to have. And now Zagara being rotated upon, just running away on her creep path, staying on the edge of the creep. I love that. Just making sure she gets the movement speed, but staying as far away from her opponents as she can, working out nicely. Creep Tumor here revealing the vision of these 3 players. They know Sylvanas is right there as well, so they have a good idea that there's a huge presence in the bottom lane. But this is also a situation where if they don't get too aggressive, they can just keep soaking effectively. Leoric and a Wraithwalk back to safety, really taking a sweet time to cancel that. If you're playing as Leoric, well, I guess he just wants to end up hearthing. He probably could have just canceled the Wraithwalk around the center of the screen right now, as I can't show you my mouse cursor, and just wait for Malfurion to heal him, because you're out of harm's reach at that point in time. Bless Shield being used to peel for Zagara, but Condemn pulling them in, and the Maw was spent a little bit too late. So Zagara falls. A nice pick off here in the bottom lane during this 2v1. Falstad was having a solo lane in the top. Kael'thas rotated up, but now we have Leoric and Malfurion in route. We see the roots being thrown down, not connecting. Phoenix just doing a lot of damage, and Wraithwalk into the face of Kael'thas with that skeletal swing and a nice slow. But Gravity Lapse enough to peel for him, and the Drain Hope will just be shy of getting the actual kill. If roots had connected, that was a dead Kael'thas for sure, but he managed to slip away at the last moment. For some reason, Verdant Sphering his Gravity Lapse, but in the end, he does survive, so that's all that matters. Still 20 to 40 in terms of the core health, and we do see they're working on this mid altar, but they need to wait for the whole team to arrive. Cups used rather prematurely in this battle, charging onto Leoric. Butcher's brand was spent for no apparent reason. Right? He had full health. We need to watch this again. Butcher players, here's a PSA. Butcher's brand is your I'm going to outlast you in a battle. It's a pretty long cooldown. You have almost full health. You have 80% health right now, Cat. You have your healer right next to you, actually casting her heroic ability to keep you alive. And then you charge. The moment you charge, you cast Butcher's Brand. That's what that little marker means. Butcher's Brand doesn't do more damage. It heals you. It's just a heal. And for every time you smack your opponent, you want to save that for when you're low on health. So I've seen this done countless times. People just snap hit. They're like, I need to press all the buttons, and they do it. And you know, Butcher's gonna get away with it in this fight, right? The fight was so well executed at the end of the day that it's not going to matter, but it could have. And there's a lot of instances where you just want to save for all of that sweet healing that you could have. Like right now, maybe. Oh, it's off cooldown already. All right, Butcher. You win today, Cat. You win today. Well, 3 members taken out in the first altar picked up here by our blue team. Maybe this is the sign of a turnaround. Now, one thing we mentioned is that even if you lose all of the altars at the start of the game, the enemy team doesn't really gain an advantage from that. They're just sitting ahead in score. So I guess it's like soccer. It's like football. They're ahead, but they don't have like a late game advantage other than mentality. They just have a higher score, right? And that is the overarching theme here for Towers of Doom. It's very different. The other maps, if you pick up a curse, you might get a keep, and that keep's going to give you a permanent advantage. But that is not the case here. Oh, Butcher's Brand, but Roots, who will win? Butcher gets the slam, and the nice pickup here. False Head flying into battle. And Octopus is going to have to be careful. Now, Butcher up here fighting the Pumpkin Bros, oblivious to the potential rotation, and he is very low. Roots not connecting. Falsehead might have the barrel roll. There it is. He doesn't actually cast his W, but he doesn't need it. The double auto attack enough to kill the Butcher. The power of the auto attack Falstead is ferocious, especially with Giant Killer at level 13. Scrolling all the way to the bottom of the map, we see the Pumpkin Bros picked up here from the red team. And they're starting to push this out the best they can. This is a 2v3 in favor of the blue team, but they do have the Pumpkin Bros and they have the Siege of Zagara. Really, they just want to escort the minions to that fort so that they can dive upon it, but the Condemn from Johanna denying that. Wraithwalk just barely getting Leoric out of here, and Bless Shield cast to block down Zagara. Butcher still dead up top, Wailing Arrow thrown out, and Maw connecting on one target, but the Condemn enough to pull Zagara back on in, and the damage output should be enough. Oh, we see Sylvanas throwing out the Fat Deep, but just barely getting the kill. A huge March of the Black and keeping Leoric alive, and now Raynor has come down here, forcing out that cup. Somehow, someway, Zagara gets away, and the Skeletal swings enough to peel so they can just back off. Beetlejuice, whatever this Rainer's name is, beep boop, beep bop, gonna go in deep, but the Shrink Ray will dissuade him from pushing in any further. Falside using his split soak advantage in the top lane will have to fly into battle soon. He's getting positioned and flying down here right now. There he goes. And now they are ready for the fight over this altar. Having control, having the zone, and the enemy's down pretty low. They're able to pick up this altar pretty much uncontested. And now we have the Hyperion being summoned as they push on into this bottom fort. In this situation, they made the right call. The altar isn't necessarily guaranteed. You haven't killed any enemies. So although they're about to kill a fort, which looks quite vulnerable, it's only afforded them because they know they just picked up the threat of the objective. They have it in their favor. They know that if they can't finish this fight off, at least they're not going to put themselves in a bad spot that they already had a good spot on to pick up the altar. So I like the call to get the altar first and then move in and kill this fort this time around. Battlecruiser doesn't, in fact, get the kill. Tranquility keeping the team nice, healthy, and happy like a buttercup. But the Butcher's Brand threw it down on Malfurion. Malfurion's got to be saying to himself, man, I wish I grabbed Ice Block, especially against Butcher Kael'thas that have explosive damage that burns you very quickly. Ice Block would have made a hell of a difference there. Ice Block would have kept Malfurion alive, Tranquility would have persisted through Ice Block while it's active, and the team would have received big heals. But instead, they're now in a bad spot. They don't have their healer. It is a 4v4. Sylvanas is also down, and this Hinterlands Blast is going straight through the middle, hitting more loose. And Butcher apparently shredding through his health bar. But still, Ice Block is almost a must pick. Oh my, Flame Strike, goodness, blowing up Raynor there. And they're going to finish off what they wanted. They got that fort. They picked up a 3 for 2 in favor of them, and the altar. Red team sitting a level ahead, looking very strong in this game. Now they're working on these Pumpkin Bros. Since the bottom fort has already been destroyed, the Pumpkin Bros will put their focus towards the middle lane. So they will actually march right up this way, and they will dive upon this wall and tower, doing as much damage as they possibly can. Also, other mercenary camps available on the map could easily have gone for this camp, and I think it's a bit foolish to not just grab as many Merc camps as possible, but they do like the idea of taking out the towers effectively while Zagara goes down to solo the camp. Not the worst idea, but you knew that 2 to 3 members were alive in the enemy team, and if they did in off chance find Zagara out of position or Leoric out of position, you could be punished for that. So in these instances where your full team is not alive and you don't really have eyes on the enemy team, splitting up is always an inherent risk. Leoric a little bit sloppy with his Wraith Walk, does end up falling, and he could be taking advantage of his trait by attacking enemy heroes to reduce his death timer, but he decides this is the perfect Tostitos break. He's going to eat some pizza rolls, shove them down his face, and enjoy each and every fiery bit of its essence. Lily scouting out the ghost of Leoric. There he goes, trying to reduce that death timer. We see that we have Butcher and Johanna rotating up. Butcher charging immediately onto the Zagara, throws down Butcher's brand. The peel from Tranquility and Bless Shield not going to be enough to save him. And the Living Bomb Gravity Labs combo onto Falstad, just barely not getting the kill. Tranquility keeping Falstad alive, but Leoric is still not alive. Just now respawning Flame Strike, doing a lot in the backside. We see those massive regrowths doing a lot, and the March of the Black King is in their face. Huge Hinterland's Blast onto 2 targets, and they're somehow still in this battle. Now we see that Leoric did Wraith Walk to safety into the back lines. He's going to walk over that lawn and say, this is some nice squishy grass, but I wish I had some fat heals right now because he's pretty low. A beautiful penetrating round, just keeping that Zagara as low as they can, but this is still very risky. Raynor going in all alone, just stalling out the tribute, but has he overstepped his bounds? With Wraith Walk can down the Phoenix, and this is in fact an overcommitment here from the red team. Blue team will regain control of this game, grabbing themselves an altar, stopping themselves from falling beside into the single-digit numbers of health. And they are fighting on back. Looking at Malfurion, he's low on mana, he's low on health, and they could try to go for the kill, but Leoric is in the front line trying to peel. Oh, Malfurion stepping back in, baiting Falstad. They're all very low, but Kael'thas has re-entered the fray. He is the big damage to the Gravity Labs, has been nullified by the Wraith Walk, but the Living Bomb does not connect on Malfurion. Oh, that was so very close. I was actually very scared for Malfurion's safety right there. And we see everyone just opting to go back to base, refill their mana takes, and get ready for battle once again. In terms of decision-making, it's just been kind of a slobber knocker. There hasn't been a lot of situations where it's like, well, they could take advantage of the situation better by doing XYZ because they've just been, you know, bashing their heads into each other the entire game. Red team has maintained a pretty even level of experience, but they've been dominating the altars, only losing 2 altars this entire game, and I'm not even going to try to math how many they've picked up themselves. Now, we see the blue team manages to pick up a camp of pumpkins, but they will be cleaned up rather quickly. And looking at the other side of the map, Sylvanas could look to finally press that advantage of split push, right? This is a situation where you know there's 3 to 4 members up top. Let's push bottom. Apparently not. They just opt. They want to charge up to Zagara all the way going deep. Butcher's brand has been used, and that is a successful kill, and they even got Maw to be cast as well. Red team and the other side, though, they've been missing for quite a while. Guess what they're doing? They're picking up a boss. They're going to walk right in here and do 4 more damage, dropping that core down to just 8 health. Blue team realizes this is happening. They know it's too late to respond to it, so they just take out the mid keep. A nice job picking up after the advantage, and Butcher should have canceled his his relentless onslaught there, going in pretty deep, but it looks like Lily's got those heals either way. We've seen Cops do ridiculous amounts of healing in every single team fight in which it's been cast, and the entire team is at full health right now. I mean, that is the power of the ability if you cannot interrupt it. Okay. Just kind of feeling each other out. 15 seconds till Zagara is back up. Triple altar. I like their aggressive position here. They find Falstad. Beautiful relentless onslaught, and they pick up Falstad. Blue team making the plays. They're picking up this offensive altar. Sylvanas picking up the backside altar in a nice spot hidden behind the tower, and they might even be able to get the triple. Now, the mid fort was just reclaimed by the red team, so they're not going to get all of that damage, but suddenly it's 8 to 24. Game looking a little bit better here for our blue team, and they might even bring them down to 20. The comebacks, that late game, the score. We're in the 4th inning. Is there? I guess there's probably 4 innings. I don't follow P-sports, physical sports. I'm all about the esports, boys. And you know, they're bringing that score back. They don't have those catapults marching against them, and the late game is working out well so far. Now that they have level 20, they have a lot more safety. Both of the Storm, Deafening Blast, and Sylvanas can have a ridiculous impact in fights, and the Phoenix doing so much damage. Butcher charging and killing Raynor very quickly before he can even get those self-heals, and they find Leoric as well. Falstad still hasn't respawned. This was a 4v5 from the beginning. And Condemn onto Zagara. Zagara, does she have Bolt available? I have no idea, but she did have Maw. Casting Maw there, Johanna in the front lines. Kael'thas with the Gravity Blast. Falstad flying in, but the Living Bomb is going to explode the moment he gets in there. Oh my goodness, Zagara does fall. The Butcher charging in, gets the kill on Falstad, and now they take out the bottom keep as well. So now 4 members are down. Blue team with the superior late game. The team fights have been on point. Butcher, Kael'thas just shredding through the opponents before the healing over time of Malfurion can really get anything done. They're going to pick up this Pumpkin Camp, and they're already working on the mid fort. This is the perfect response. By taking out the mid fort, you know the bottom fort's already down. These guys are going to march to the mid one. If you kill it, that's going to be 3 damage onto their core. You'd much rather take out this fort, but no, the rest of the team doesn't respond. Johanna and Sylvanas were already working on it. They had it locked down, but Kael'thas and Butcher and Lily, they just didn't help out, so a bit of a blunder. It's even staying alive. Johanna realizes it's like, oh, I just want to poke it. Just die. Die. All right, Johanna got it. That is good. It is at least the team, well, at least one member on the team realized that there could be an advantage for these next altars if they have control of 2 additional forts. Right now, it's 6 damage to 2 if they manage to channel an altar. And we see Butcher just waiting patiently up here. Still 3 members down. Falstad can fly into battle, but Leoric is going to be dead for quite a while as he just got blown up. And he's going to need to respawn in his ghost form. Oh, they find Malfurion just putting a lot of damage on, just buying time for Butcher to channel this. All 3 of them going over it. That is 18 damage? Holy crap-a-rooney and cheese. They didn't get the last one yet. So they just did 12 damage. Last one somebody picked up. Zagara complete. They're just desperate. Diving in, trying to make something happen. Oh, the Butcher's Brand stopping the barrel. Uncle Hobo is now fried chicken. And we see Bibu Bop gonna get hit by the flame trick, but he will survive. Bottom and final altar of this fight still available, bringing them down to 2 damage as they will get 6 out of this. But Malfurion is so out of position. Kael'thas just walking in his face, body blocking him. An octopus, Sloptopus, blowing him up, and the flame strike with the living bomb for Butcher. Oh, even just the manner, wailing arrow to make sure the insurance policy is intact and the entire team is dead. What they should do, they're making the wrong call. They're making the wrong call. They're saying, well, the boss is up in a minute, but we could kill this fort. It's almost dead, and we can get this. Would have been a little bit more efficient to just go for these guys. It shouldn't matter in the end. Getting these guys, they would kill it. Oh, even these guys respawn. That actually is the correct call now that I see they're up. If they had rotated down there, those guys would have been the most efficient path to go end the game. But they need to split. They need to throw 2 up here. I don't know why Johanna went back to base. The game is over. But it seems like they don't actually realize this because they control all 3 forts. Well, actually, no, that ends the game. They made the right call. I'm a fool. I completely I completely forgot that if you control all 3 forts, it does 1 damage to all the cores because that never happens in real games. When does that happen? How did that happen? GG, blue team with the turnaround, really just showing the power of late game on Towers of Doom. 2 actually really good examples for replays today. I'm actually very pleased with the quality of those games and just the different themes, the different styles, and the different things that we were able to learn from the correct and the mistakes that were made throughout the game. Ultimately, though, I mean, they just had that dominance in the late game. The red team got a little bit flustered as they started to get picked apart in the late game themselves. And they were just getting picked off left and right and starting to play a little bit sloppy, and the blue team took complete and total advantage of that, and the explosive power of Kael'thas and Butcher versus a Malfurion that doesn't have Ice Block worked out sufficiently well. Guys, you can submit your own replays for the daily quest at solidjakegg@gmail.com. But I do suggest that you submit Hero League games because they are preferred. And if at all possible, let me know your Battle.net ID. Let me know your MMR. If you want to link your hot logs, that is also very helpful. That's how you would know a general idea of your MMR. And if you can remember the draft, the order of the draft, it is always appreciated here for the replays. Thanks so much for everyone that submitted replays this week. Just because it wasn't cast here today doesn't mean it won't be cast in the near future, as I do keep all of the replay files on hand and poke through them as I decide my theme for each day. This has been the Daily Quest, episode number 24. I'll see you next time. Oh, and hit the subscribe button. Yeah.